Sir Mandorallen and the Phantom Knights of Ebon Hollow. The moon hung high over Eldoria, casting silver light upon the great halls of King Aldred's court. A messenger approached the throne. The autumn wind howled through the banners, but the cold in the room came from something far more sinister. King Aldred waited for news. The messenger, pale as a ghost himself, knelt before the king. His cloak was tattered, his hands trembling. Tired and trembling, he spoke. "My lord, the dead, they ride again." A hush fell over the court. "Speak plainly, man," Aldred commanded. The messenger swallowed hard. "The ruins of Ebon Hollow stir once more. Shadowed figures ride beneath the black moon. They do not speak, they do not eat. They simply kill." Murmurs broke out among the nobles. Ebon Hollow was a cursed place, an abandoned fortress where a great battle had been fought long ago. The king's own ancestors had once stood against the Order of the Black Gauntlet, knights who turned to dark magic and were destroyed for their treachery. But if these knights had returned, Aldred turned to the bravest knight to ever live, and his most trusted warrior. "Sir Mandorallen," the king said, his voice firm, "go to Ebon Hollow, find the truth, and if these spirits be of darkness, send them back to the grave." Mandorallen bowed his head. "It will be done, my king." Mandorallen rode north, accompanied by a dozen of his finest knights. The journey took them through twisted forests and abandoned villages, places once rich with life but now lifeless as tombs. And soon the signs of horror began. They found a merchant caravan, its wagons overturned, its people slain not by blades, but by something far worse. Their bodies were blackened as if by fire, yet no flames had touched the ground. "Dark magic," muttered Sir Edric, one of Mandorallen's knights. Mandorallen dismounted, running his hand over the scorched earth. Whatever did this was no mortal foe. That night, as they camped, the howling wind carried a new sound, the distant clang of steel on steel. The knights stood, hands on their swords, their breath turning to frost in the air. "Ready yourselves," Mandorallen said, voice calm but firm. Then came the sound of hoofbeats. Out of the mist, figures emerged, knights clad in blackened armor, their visors hollow, their eyes burning with pale blue fire. They did not speak, they did not slow, they simply charged. Mandorallen met the first of them head-on, his sword clashing against the ghostly knight's blade. The impact sent a shockwave through his arm. This was no mere apparition, but something worse. The knights of Ebon Hollow fought with unnatural speed and strength, their weapons cold as the grave. Mandorallen's men fought bravely, but for every phantom knight they struck down, another took its place. "This is no battle we can win by steel alone," Sir Edric shouted. Mandorallen gritted his teeth. He could feel it now, a presence watching. This was not merely the restless dead. Something was controlling them. "Fall back!" Mandorallen roared. The knights retreated, escaping the battle, but leaving behind the bodies of those who had fallen. The phantom warriors did not give chase. They merely stood there, watching, their burning eyes locked onto Mandorallen. This was a warning, and Mandorallen intended to answer it. They reached the ruined fortress by dawn. Once, Ebon Hollow had been a place of honor before its knights had betrayed the crown, seeking forbidden magic to make themselves immortal. The king's ancestors had purged them in a great battle, but it seemed they had never truly been defeated. Mandorallen and his remaining men entered the crumbling halls, torches flickering against the cold stone. Shadows danced along the walls. And then, at the heart of the fortress, they found it. A black altar, pulsing with dark energy, and standing before it was a figure in a tattered cloak, his face hidden beneath a steel mask. "I was expecting you, knight," the figure said, his voice echoing unnaturally. Mandorallen drew his sword and asked, "Who are you?" The figure chuckled. "I am Malagar, the Undying High Lord of the Black Gauntlet, and you are too late." He raised his hands, and the air shuddered. Malagar became more human, drawing power from the shadows as they erupted from the altar, twisting into the forms of dozens of spectral knights. "You cannot fight death itself, Mandorallen," Malagar sneered. "This kingdom will be ours once more." Mandorallen knew he could not best them all in combat. This was not a battle of swords, but of will. He turned to his men. "Hold them off as long as you can." And then, gripping his sword, he charged the altar. Malagar's eyes widened. "No! Stop him!" The phantom knights surged forward, but Mandorallen was faster. With a mighty swing, He drove his blade into the altar. A crack of thunder shook the fortress. The runes flickered, then shattered. Malagar screamed as the magic holding him together unraveled. The phantom knights howled, their bodies dissolving into mist. The darkness collapsed inward, swallowing Malagar whole before vanishing in a final, echoing wail. Then, silence. The curse was broken. Mandorallen stood amidst the ruins, breath heavy, his sword glowing with the lingering energy of the shattered spell. His knights, battered but victorious, stood beside him. The dead had returned to their graves. The Order of the Black Gauntlet was no more. When he returned to King Aldred, the people cheered his name. "The dead themselves cannot stand against you, Mandorallen," the king said, clapping his knight on the shoulder. "Your legend grows greater with every battle." Mandorallen merely nodded, gazing into the distance. He had won this battle, but deep in his heart, he knew that true evil never rests, and neither would he. The end, for now.